Alright, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Welcome back to the Cauldron. I'm Jeremy Gilson, aka Thomas Servo.
I'm
Uh,
Hydra, or Cameron.
I'm Archie Comics. Archie.
Well, that's kind of obvious.
A little bit.
And, so, uh, today's subject on the dartboard is on what is on unlockables in gaming and how to encourage them without actually requiring them.
Okay, so this can be handled.
The example I had was Mega Man because of the fact that from my experience, the weapons in those games tend not to be used or really often, except for, say, maybe getting rid of that one boss. And I was thinking, why is that, and what could be done to encourage their use a tad bit more? Because, like, one of the things that came to my mind was the fact that, like, the Mega Man stages tend not to encourage exploration all that much. The only game that I can think of that really does that is Mega Man in Base with the CDs. Which also had the most wonderful translations. The one that comes to my mind was, I believe they described Flashman's flaw as misery guts.
So, the thing is, with, like, trying to enforce use of special weapons, you really can't use Mega Man as a prime example. You can still use it as an example, but mainly because in most Mega Man games, you do it in your own order. So,
but
the
although it's something that I was also going to mention is that because of that, a lot of the challenges are designed through the use of your main weapon, so the other weapons aren't really given a chance to shine.
Well, that's the thing. In Mega Man, if you decide to take on Lava Man, then get his weapon, but really you're supposed to do... I'm just gonna say like a random boss, like Water Man first. You're not... You're breaking the order. You're not... You're confusing the game to where if you need to use this weapon, but you don't have it, then you shouldn't. Then you just can't have it programmed. But in a game with a linear storyline, you could add, say, a score like a better score for combos to use, or just use it to get into secret areas.
Yeah.
And you can only...
Because I know like Mega Man in Base does something like that with the CDs. There's certain CDs that are locked behind certain weapons.
Yeah.
Like I know that there's several behind blocks that you need the wave burner in order to unlock.
Right.
And I think like having like extra collectibles would be a good way to encourage with the use of such things without actually mandating them, because you can teach the player how they're used and what they'd be useful for without, and still have them being able to complete the game with just the buster.
Yeah. I feel like another good example could be Breath of the Wild, just because you have this massive open world and a linear story, but you can face the final boss whenever you so choose to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Breath of the Wild is a good example of encouraging the use of other things due to the whole breakable weapons thing, because it encourages the use of multiple things, because
it encourages you to try new things
utterly broken
and see if you can do.
It's broken in more ways than one now. As you were saying?
It encourages you to try more things than you would normally use in a regular playthrough if they didn't break, and allows the dev team to expand past just going, oh hey, here's the Master Sword. Now you basically 5-shot everything. No, the Master Sword can actually break and it returns to the podium now.
Yeah.
And not only that, there's the champion abilities and the Sheikah Slate abilities.
And of course, if you're doing something like me, where you refuse to get any of the extra heart upgrades because you don't want to give away any of those temple orbs, you can't even get the Master Sword. So you're stuck using the breakable weapons.
See, Cameron, you saying that kind of reminded me of Pokemon, like it from Gens 6 and prior. They're HMs. That's kind of like the same thing where you have to sacrifice a move slot in order to use a move in the field that you have to use in order to progress.
Yeah, and I think that's a bad example of doing it because of the fact that, well, for one, it's something that is absolutely required to progress, but
It also limits your moveset, and
Yeah,
that's one whole
And
hence
they-
the
reason
prevalence of
why
HM
a lot of
slaves.
people were so glad the previous few gens, but they're finally putting the nail in that coffin.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that there should be like something like Eevee. It can use anything it wants, but it is specially used to do whatever you need, so it doesn't sacrifice potential customization of the player.
Yeah.
And of course, Eevee has a whole bunch of different options for it due to the whole evolution gimmick. Speaking of which, you
Oh.
know that it's Umbreon. That's the dark one, isn't it?
Yeah.
In Japan, that thing is known as Blackie. I wish I was making that up.
Oh. I kind of took that off topic. I apologize.
Well, I mean, also in Japan, the dark type's known as the evil type, so.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that a lot of the flavor text kind of contradicts that idea, but oh well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, there's quite a few examples that pop that up, but that's going off topic from them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Back on what little topic we had.
I think we got a bit out of that one.
Actually, you know, something I'm kind of thinking of is, does Pokemon do anything to encourage the use of more than just six regular Pokemon? That you have on all
They
times?
encourage
Does it
you
encourage
to
you to
see
switch
what
things up at all?
Pokemon you like the best to use, but they still limit you to the 6-party limit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, what I'm asking is, do they encourage you to switch things up a bit?
Oh, yeah.
The gyms, yeah, they do.
Oh yeah, right. But the different, well, yeah, but like
It-
that's what having a fully balanced team is for. Like, do they ever encourage you to switch out your one water type for a different water type or anything like that?
Not really, because usually in each generation, there's like a clearly defined perfect type for perfect Pokemon for each type that you aim to strive for that can have everything you want or ever possibly need in one. And that's just the thing. There's always that one that you strive to get, so that when you have one that's just your temp, you just slug around and use it. You don't really utilize it to its fullest potential.
And part of me thinks that's kind of a bad thing because I think it'd be a tad bit more interesting if they encouraged you to switch things up a
Yeah.
up a tad bit. But I can kind of see why they do that.
Yeah.
But I'm also just remembering. I know of a dude. I know of an LPer who has gone through Pokemon Emerald with fully unevolved Pokemon. He didn't use his starter for much because he already trained one of them, and that's why he bothered doing it. But he did have to pick one, and so he named him SNAITF.
Yeah.
Guess what it stands for?
No idea. I suck at acronyms.
So not appearing in this film.
Oh, jeez.
So
Wait,
we're getting
yeah,
a bit off topic now.
Yeah. Back on topic. So you can do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just want to make sure.
All right.
But
we
so,
got a
yeah,
bit out of that, so.
So how would if we were making a Pokemon game, how would we encourage the use of more than just the six also, these things are freaking hammer Pokemon. Like, how do we encourage mixing things up?
Really, the point of that is just to make the team you want. It's not really, oh, use a team for 2 gyms, then completely change everything up. It's make the perfect team that you want to see.
I was more getting at how do we encourage the use of, how do we encourage people to try out new Pokemon?
Mm.
Because I think, like, in Gen 7, they allow you to, like, if you catch a new Pokemon, you can manage your box stuff right then and there.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good step of the right direction to encourage that sort of thing, because it means that swapping out somebody into your party for a quick test isn't quite as annoying. You only have one trip back to the Poke Center.
Yeah.
And I think when Pokemon Let's Go Eevee skips out the having to do that entirely, if I remember correctly. I've never played that game, so I might be entirely wrong.
See, there's a lot that can potentially go into that. Like, that particular discussion, that's more than just, oh, what's in the game. It's also what influences outside. And that might be something we might want to save for another episode.
Right. Adding that to the dartboard.
Yeah.
How to encourage use of other Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Because it's mainly external factors that affect that. At least in my opinion. I don't know about you two.
Yeah, that's a good discussion for another time.
Alright.
And I can think of a few other examples besides just Pokemon even right now, but again, for another time.
Yeah.
So, going away from the Mega Man power-ups and just how to make all abilities useful if they're not required, let's talk about something else. So we have on the dartboard here the design of Super Mario 64, so how would you all say...
Which I picked specifically because it was the winner of that one tournament that Stomper had.
Oh, yeah. So, it won the tournament.
We had a tournament, for those of you who aren't a part of the server, we had a tournament, I want to say like a month or so ago, that was basically pitting 64 games with each other. Stuff like Half-Life, Crash, Minecraft, Breath of the Wild.
Skyrim.
Eventually got to the point where Stomper, and I specifically remember Super Mario World beating Ocarina of Time.
That was a shock even to me.
And to me, I was just thinking, woo!
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, so now let's talk. And Super Mario 64 was the one that won.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what do you guys think of how Super Mario 64 is designed?
So, Super Mario 64, without a doubt, was probably the best way to introduce the 3D age, and just the opening area alone proves that, because nobody's gonna lie here, like, the N64 controller, while loved by many people, myself included, it's very clunky. Luckily, Super Mario 64 has the perfect outside area for you to just mess around until you get a decent hang of the controls, where nothing is there but maybe a coin or two that you may be able to find. And all you really have to do to start the game up, really, is go into the castle.
Yeah. Although just now that if I remember correctly, I believe the controller of the N64 was at least partially created to serve the needs of Super Mario 64.
Yes.
But, one thing that I kind of want to ask about is it's about the openness of it. How do you you guys think that they handled the openness of all that well, or, because like, I remember one thing that I could bring up, because I remember watching this being brought up in the Brain Scratch run of the Reignited Spyro 1, is the fact that there is the fact that there's certain amounts that you need to go into a certain mission to pick, but certain amounts that you can do at any mission. Like, the example that I remembered specifically was the fact that you can free the chain chomp in any of the missions above on Battlefield, but you specifically need to pick the second one in order to race against Scoop of the Quick.
Well, I think that's because if you have the potential for all 7 missions to be unlocked as soon as you get in there, that's a lot of memory that you're just unloading into one level all at once. But when you select the actual level, you just pick a relatively small portion of that level to dedicate that one mission, allocating all the resources you need for that one mission. It makes it a lot easier and
Yeah.
less
Sure, but that doesn't seem like something that Super Mario 64 does all that much.
Well, I mean, it seems like it doesn't do that, but looking at the level structure, the only problem with it is that there's a lot of stars that you can get at once. The 100 coin star, there's a bunch of stars around the map that no matter what mission you're in, you can get.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always going to be those lockdown stars, and that's the save on memory in that specific level. And it was primarily a graphics reason back then because they could load them all in, but the N64 hardware couldn't handle it because it would try to do all that at once.
Yeah. And with something like the chain chomp, that's something that's always there. It's in the chain chomps, it's
more like an environmental element than it is just a obstacle that you need to pass to get a star.
It's an element that happens to be a key as well.
And also something to compare to is like Sunshine and Odyssey, which did 2 different ends of that spectrum. Sunshine is very much like you want to get a star, you have to pick that one mission, otherwise it's not happening. Otherwise,
a lot of people say that, and we don't know this for sure, but a lot of people say that there were people at Nintendo that liked the mission structure at first, and to me this is counterintuitive, as there was one game that everybody always cited as the better Mario 64 that somehow, despite also being on the N64, just removed the cap in general, and that was Banjo-Kazooie, which was literally made in development as a spiritual successor to Mario 64 by Rare.
And of course, we all know how much you love that game, considering that I'm looking at your avatar and it's literally the stock icon for Banjo-Kazooie. Hydra is incredibly predictable, by the way, people.
But there's a good reason why I bring this up for once, is because both of those games share striking similarities. Like, looking at both of those
Grab
games,
all the things.
You have Clanker in one, and then you have Bowser's Submarine in another.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, you can tell they took a lot of inspiration from it just by taking 2 glances at it.
It's generally the same kind of game, except a lot more.
Yeah. And I feel like because that was such a jump, a lot of people want to credit Banjo more. In reality, Mario 64 did a lot more to get Banjo to that point.
Yeah, because it was the new IP at the time. A lot of people were like, maybe. Oh, here's Mario. Yeah, we know him. Let's do that.
Yeah, Mario was guaranteed from the start to be a success. He was already a world phenomenon by the time the N64 rolled around. And the best way
It was a world phenomenon by the time of the NES.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. And Super Mario World just solidified that fact.
Well, no, actually, I wouldn't say that, because if I remember correctly, at the time of Super Mario World, that wasn't a very popular game, especially with Sega being in full force around that. Remember what Genesis does when Nintendo don't?
But overall, I feel like just the whole level structure had way more influences than people give credit for, and even if there were some aspects that were enhanced by other games, cough, cough, banjo, cough, without Mario
Essentially, you can
64,
always
a
trace it back to
lot of the stuff we have now would not exist. Like,
Yeah.
it's no secret that a lot of the development for Ocarina of Time, for example, that was actually influenced by Mario 64, why Miyamoto was
same
working
engine
on
actually.
that without Numa.
If I remember correctly, the two games share the same engine.
Yeah, like they share the same engine, they share some assets in the
Some of the same
code that
aspects,
are
including that
used.
Ella's real statue that spawned so many theories.
So many game
The
theories.
L's real statue, even though I've never gotten those theories, I never understood it, but I don't think it's just the
It was in an era before the internet was really a thing. Kids made up the wildest things about what might be in their games because they had no way of knowing.
Yeah, now we have leaks
well, I mean,
every
yeah, I'm
month.
still looking for that Mew under the truck.
I remember in the remakes for the Game Boy Advance, they actually hid something in that truck, a lava cookie.
Yeah, they actually
I
hit
don't
a
know what
lava
Let's Go
cookie in the
Eevee,
truck because
what Pikachu and Eevee did, but
I know
yeah,
you can
there's
actually
that.
get to the truck in Pikachu and Eevee. I forget what they did for it though.
They added a Pokeball, like right at the bottom. I forget what item it was. I know I got it. I just forget what it was.
Yeah.
Hang on. I gotta see this now.
While we were looking that up, I just want to make one fishy note for this whole point right here. I feel like the design is something that we could go on and on about for a very long time of Super Mario 64. Because it has so many influential design elements that even if they were made better by other games, they still paved the way for those games. And
Yeah, I do admit
I
that note
feel
was not
like
very specific.
that's why it won the tournament. Just because it's a game that was perfect for introducing not only the 3D era, but making sure the 3D era succeeded.
Yeah. That and we're all a bunch of Mario nerds.
More or less.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, again, Super Mario World beat out Ocarina of Time.
Let's see.
So let's see. So we've already discussed how 64 handled like the open world aspects. Let's see here. I'm just trying to.
Oh,
Well, actually, I kind of want.
never mind. There's nothing there. It's just a truck for the reference. Oh well.
All right. So do we have anything else we want to talk about? Talk about this, or should I look for the next thing on the dartboard?
Let's head to the next thing on the dartboard.
Yeah.
Dartboard to the rescue!
So, next thing we have.
Let's see. I don't want to talk about this with Jensen, so, you mentioned you want to talk about, Super Mario Maker sort of games. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Like level editor sorts of things. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about those?
Well,
Because like the thing that comes to my mind immediately about that sort of thing is, how would you handle the combinatorial explosion that such a game would provide? Like, how, like, how'd you handle having to figure out, like, say, how does a thwomp interact with a mushroom? What happens when you put a bullet bill blaster on a slope?
So, with level editors, I feel like, in general, you have to know what kind of levels are usually in those games. So it would already have to be an existing franchise to make a level editor of. That's why so many people have
Yeah.
thrown out the idea ever since Mario Maker came out of, oh hey, could we get a Legend of Zelda Maker? And with the
Well,
remake
that
of Link's
exists. It's called Zelda Classic.
Awakening adding Dompe, who now owns a smaller but still there dungeon room editor, it kinda just...
You've heard of Zelda Classic, right?
I'm referring to Zelda as a whole, but...
Yeah. No. The program is called Zelda Classic.
In the
Oh,
Link's Awakening
right.
demo?
No, the Zelda level editor thingy.
No, I'm referring to Dompe and Link's Awakening right now.
Oh.
Because he actually
I don't know
allows you
who
to
the heck that
create
is.
smaller dungeons using rooms you've already completed throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds like a rather weird idea.
It's
But-
like Dompe's known from Ocarina of Time, so people would know him straight away, but... My only question
Yeah,
is
I should
how
mention that I've
come
only
he's
played
in Link's
Wind Waker and Breath of
Awakening
the
if
Wild.
the hero of... If the
As you're
hero...
saying?
My whole reason for confusion right there was just, why is he in Link's Awakening if the hero of Legend never met a guy who knew the hero of Time originally? But, you know, logic, yeah. Video games. But, anyway, back to Super Mario
Level
Maker
editors.
style games, you know,
Yeah.
level editors.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, you know what? I'm just now kind of reminded of the fact that I do believe, because like, I also kind of reminded of the Make a Good Mega Man level contests.
Yeah. There's also the Mega
Oh.
Man editor.
Well, no, that's sort of, yeah. They're more like, here's an engine, please make something in it and send it to us. And they got levels ranging from deliberate troll levels to deliberate troll levels.
Yeah.
I'm really underselling the amount of variety in there, but that is a valid statement I can make about the second one. Bye, Hydro.
Yeah, we can always just edit this part out later.
So, something that comes to mind is but let's see here. So let's see. So one of the things that comes to my mind is with those games is the fact that there's definitely a wide variety of things that they do there with the basic framework. Some of the things that immediately come to mind are the two levels that gave one of the judges motion sickness
Yeah,
due to their gimmicks.
and all those effects.
What?
And all the different effects that come with it, because, what else is there? Because there's, like, the cat punching you, the boss head that zooms in once a boss comes in.
I'm sorry, what are you talking about?
The other effects that they had in the game, at least in the first one.
Oh, Super Mario Maker, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking about something completely different there and you lost me.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
But-
games like that.
I'm back. I did a syncing clap for you guys.
Okay.
So,
We were just talking about like the different effects, like in Super Mario Maker 1. Like
Yeah,
you didn't miss much at all. It's
Okay, so...
it's just like different things that just like to put in. It's like, oh, that's something you've never seen in a Mario game before. Let's put this in and see what people do with it.
well,
Yeah.
there's, like, just thinking about Super Mario Maker from what I remember, there's very little in it that isn't already an established Mario thing. the thing that's new is how the things interact with each other.
Well, like, in the new one, they also have, like, they added ramps, they added new mushrooms, they added a lot of new stuff from the modern, like, the newest Mario games. Some updated stuff from the old games, and also Luigi.
Mm.
Woo!
Like multiplayer.
Yeah, and some new stuff that's never been seen before, like the Builder Hammer, and also adding stuff that was lost to time, like the Super Ball.
Exactly.
The Super Bowl? Wait, they're doing something with Super
The
Mario
Super Bowl
Land?
power up from Mario Land, the original Mario Land. Yes.
Think of it, you know that the Super Mario Land Invincibility music is the can?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Huh.
I just remember, like, seeing
Now
that
you
for the
say
first
that,
time,
yeah.
I was just like, really? Really? Let's do. So wait, are they doing? So they're bringing back Super Mario Land for Mario Maker 2?
There's a style for it, but they add into all of the styles the Super Ball power up, and it just throws a gray ball
Oh yeah,
that bounces across the screen.
And for those who are
just
wondering,
like the original.
and for those who are wondering, at the time of this recording, Super Mario Maker 2 comes out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Woo!
Yay!
Yay!
Also, at the time of this recording, I know basically diddly squat about Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's just like with franchises that are bigger, have a lot of history, so the Marios and Zeldas of the world, it's a lot easier to create a level editor for it than something like Undertale, for example.
No, I don't. The thing that I'm thinking more of the thing that I'm thinking more of there isn't so much that they have a lot more to work with. It's more that they have a lot more people who would who would be interested in making such a thing. Because because the idea of Super Mario Maker is not a recent invention, and actually, from what I remember of it, I've seen much.
Oh no, people have been wanting to create their own Mario levels for years now.
The Super Mario World hack is practically a genre platformer at this point.
The Super Mario 64 ROM hack world is absurdly big. Like,
you haven't seen
really
Super Mario World Central
levels.
yet. You have not seen Super Mario World Central then. Anyway, as we were going,
yeah, so
the idea of the level editor really isn't new, because if either of you remember, this was a while ago, back when Ben 10 had Alien Force on the Cartoon Network website, there was a level editor game.
Oh yeah, I remember. I vaguely remember that.
Oh,
yeah,
my childhood hurts.
I know. But
I missed that show.
I also remember, you know the guy that made Terraria?
Yeah.
He actually made a thing called Super Mario Bros. X, which was a level editor for that allowed you to create your own levels, your own worlds, your own sprites, and eventually somebody came around that allowed you to add your own programming.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mainly thought of as kind of like the first generation, I guess. Because there's only limited...
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
The idea of a level editor concept exists for any bigger or just popular franchise that has the capability for it. Like Doom, for example, it even has the original NES Doom has a popular level editing community.
Like Super Mario Bros. 1? What are you getting at with that?
Wait, what?
What are you getting at with that sentence?
I'm getting out like Doom.
Oh, Doom.
The start of
Doom
it.
is one of the first big things to have like a level editor thing. Because like John Carmack such just released a tool for that, and to say that the Doom community was huge is to put it lightly.
Yeah, and even another huge example here, Half-Life.
Oh yeah,
It spawned
Half-Life.
Gary's mod just for all of the
There's
crazy
mods.
stuff people could create.
I wouldn't I actually, now that I think about
They're
it,
different.
I don't think I'd be lying
they're...
too much if I didn't say that half of Valve's properties now are based off of mods. There's CF2,
Yeah.
there's Counter-Strike,
Yeah.
there's Dota.
Gmod, which is just a mod for another one of their games.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I cut your voice kind of cut out there. What were you referring to?
We were originally referring to Doom, then we kind of went on a tangent there on how every one of Valve's games is just a mod of
Half-Life
something
is original,
else.
and Portal was based off of a student test project called Norbacular Drop.
Yeah.
Hence the achievement.
All right then. I just wanted to catch up. got cut off for a second there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just saying like the idea of a level editor and people basically brute forcing their own level editors has been around for a long time, and there's quite a few franchises that could completely do it well. And they have the history to work with, they have the library of tools and equipment to work with, and they can totally implement new and old stuff.
Hey,
that
since
we're
talking
seen in years or has never existed.
Since we're talking about
although
that,
Little Big Planet did rather well.
Since you mentioned that, Hydra, we can transition to. Oh wait a minute, that's higher on the list. Never mind.
Wait, what was that?
Since he said a lot of franchises can benefit from that, we could have done like if we were in charge of a certain franchise. But
let's talk about that.
Yeah, okay. Perfect transition, Hydra.
So let's start up that then. Yeah. So
if you were to make the next game and insert series here, what series would that be, and how'd you make it?
Oh boy.
That's a tough one.
Actually, I have a fun idea.
Yeah, because there's so many series you could choose from.
Hydra, if you were to make the next Pokemon game after Sword and Shield, what would you do?
Huh. I wouldn't want to be Game Freak after that situation.
No.
Not with all the controversies currently going around. We'll not touch on those for now. Cough, cough, national dex, cough.
Yeah, but actually, I just kind of reminded of a video that I was mentioning the fact that that sort of controversy is not exactly anything new for Pokemon. It seems to happen with every generation.
And not all of them. Some of them just don't offer national dex to begin with.
Yeah,
cough,
this
Pokemon
is the
Coliseum.
Let's go, Eevee.
Well, Coliseum and XD were spin-offs. Back to the topic.
Anyway.
So, honestly, I'm gonna have to stick with the old faithful here. I know people get sick of it from me, but if I had to choose a franchise, I'd have to choose Banjo. There's no other choice for me.
Well, yes. Again, this person, Hydra, is extremely predictable and loves Banjo-Kazooie to no end.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody's franchises out of the way first. I think that'd be the best. So, you two...
pick a franchise for me.
Star Wars.
A game franchise.
It is a game franchise in its own little world. Owned by Disney
its
now.
Own little Lego world.
Oh, yes. Its own Lego world, its own Rogue Squadron world, its own Battlefront world. There's so many...
Anyway, let's just,
if it has to be a game, Sonic.
Oh boy, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, I'm going to briefly say this right now. One, my game literacy is not all that high, and two, the closest thing to a Sonic game I've ever played is a Activate called Sonic Hedgehog Megamix, which was canceled so that the guy making it could make Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
But if I had to say something about Sonic the Hedgehog 1, I'd probably make it a 2D one, if for no other reason than that seems to be the best way to make sure that seems to be the kind of game that the fandom will skin me alive the least for. Because the 3D games, I haven't seen one that hasn't gotten way too many rough edges. The 2D games, we've seen them do pretty alright. The 3D games, still waiting on that.
The Wii ports of Callers and
Generations.
it's debatable still, but oh yeah, I forgot about Generations as well.
Mhm.
But the Wii ports of Callers, Generations, and debatably the
Yeah.
Werehog game that is Unleashed.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, the thing
But
that came to my mind was more like the
those
adventure
three
games.
usually are given really good reviews on the Wii, just the way they were implemented on the Xbox and PS3, they also had a lot more open areas and a lot more areas to explore,
Yeah.
and nobody liked that.
Although I have to
because
admit
they
that,
were a lot glitchier.
there's also part of me that wonders how well Sonic would do it in 3D.
He can do.
Although part of me just might be thinking that because of the way that, like, when Mario went to 3D, the whole style of gameplay was pretty much just reinvented. And it wasn't until, like, the Wii U and 3DS that they tried to make a 2D, 3D Mario game.
It can be Sonic in 3D can be done. We've seen multiple examples where it can be done. It just needs the time, the polish, and the right kind of designers and storyboarders to make it good.
Yeah.
We don't want Sonic 06 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh yeah. See,
Yeah.
I would buy the game solely for the title. Yeah.
Anyway, also just kind of think about it, like, Sonic the Hedgehog has Half-Life 2 beat by, like, several years? Because they're basically doing the same thing. Because they're both very much based around physics puzzles and all that.
Yeah. Well, it's only recently that they really got into the physics puzzles of it.
No, because like, think about the loop-de-loops in the original game.
There's always been a slight amount of physics here or there, but it's only recently got to the point where it's like, oh yeah, now we're using these physics for puzzles.
Yeah. It's like,
well, to be fair, Sonic isn't really a puzzle-heavy franchise. Barrel of Doom.
And that's also one point of contention.
Yeah, we can argue that one till the cows come home.
Yeah.
And we're not mentioning Sonic Boom. We're not allowed to do that.
Well, I mean, we are if we're referencing how Eggman is the only good part of it.
Oh, you got a point.
Well, no, I thought the cartoon was the only good part of that game.
Nah. Eggman's a good part of that game. I'll tell you that.
He's the only good part of all of it. The show and the game. But yeah, let's get on point.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Archie, your turn. Let's see. Metroid. How'd you handle the next Metroid game?
You see, I have not yet received my GameCube Metroid yet, but from what I've seen, I would like to see some kind of mix between on-ground missions like normal, but still kind of like maybe test the waters and see if aerial combat could be a thing. Because Samus does have her ship, and we've never, at least to my knowledge.
Basically, what you're saying is that you want to have a crossover between Star Fox and Metroid?
No. I'm talking like maybe a stealth mission or something where you just.
I know what you're talking about, and it intrigues me as there was actually a whole thing that came out when Nintendo scrapped Metroid Prime 4 that there was supposedly some sort of
that game's
actual airship mission.
Yeah.
And it intrigued the crap out of me, as there was just not much info on it, but it was something like, that's something that a lot of people have been intrigued by for a while. Like, could Metroid pull a Star Fox well and still be true to the series?
Yeah, like
And personally, I think it could.
The thing that comes to my mind about that, though, is the example that I'm going to bring up is the is Crash 3 Warped, the motorbike levels. The thing that worries me about that is the fact that you're trying to weld a completely different style of gameplay onto something that has already been established, and I'm just thinking that could go very, very badly.
Well, you're not going to replace the style. You're just going to add something else. Like,
Well, yeah, but
yeah,
because like the example that I mentioned, like the motorcycle levels, they are a different style of gameplay, but they're one that isn't done very well, because one, it's like a racing game and a platformer, and two, they expect you to win.
well, obviously, that's something that was on the designers, not the idea itself. And
yeah, it's
I guess
not something that you can really.
The thing that I'm concerned about is how well are they going to implement that, because that seems like something they could script very easily.
I could see it being implemented two ways. Either A, the Star Fox Zero route, but with actual good controls this time, cough cough, but... Or B, they could go the traditional Star Fox route and just make a rail shooter.
Yeah. And also,
so either make it stealth
Samus
mission, or
outer
just
space...
trying to fight a boss, or just shooter.
Yeah. And like, Samus is an outer space bounty hunter. How could you not have space combat?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, out of all Nintendo's franchises, Metroid and Star Fox has always been the one that the company has struggled to figure out how to do well in 3D space the most.
Well,
yeah.
Even with F-Zero, that's been dormant for so long. That's not because they haven't figured out how to continue it, but it's because,
Although I kind of want to argue that just because I seem to remember that because the only 3D Metroid games I can think of are the Fusion games and the one nobody likes to talk about, which were both handled by other companies.
The Prime games and Alpha Rim, which was handled by an in-house Nintendo company.
Dang it. That's not it. Dang it. Anyway.
Then there was Samus Returns by Retro Studios.
And the second Metroid 2 remake.
Yeah.
That's Samus Returns.
No, another Metroid 2 remake. AM2R.
There's another one?
Jeez, yes. That predates
the one on the Game Boy Advance.
I need to buy all the Metroid games right now.
Yeah, there was a AM2R one that was like in development for like 10 years that was almost immediately DMCA'd. Thanks, Nintendo.
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
I'd send you a link, but DMCA.
Let's see.
But yeah, look it up.
Anyways.
So
I think we got Metroid and Sonic out of the way there. So now for me, I guess.
Let's see.
So a lot of people have posed this
Pokemon.
question.
We're not going Pokemon. We've already discussed Pokemon enough. For 1 week. We need to put a cap on that.
But a lot of people have posed this question for the series just from where it's laid dormant for so long. Like, how would you continue it with attracting new fans in the process? Would you go the remake route, or would you go
reboot?
Or like the Kid Icarus route, where they did something completely different.
Yeah. Or would you do the Kid Icarus route, where, oh, hey, you do things completely differently, but you still honor and homage the original, even if it's not widely available.
Yeah, just remembering, like, wasn't the opening line of the game like, sorry to keep you waiting?
Yeah, it really was just Pit walking out of Skyworld's gates, jumping out and saying, "Sorry to keep you waiting."
Uh,
See, I see something like that, whereas you still pay homage is under the reboot category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
got an example of that?
And the fun thing about Kid Icarus Uprising is that it even paid homage to the sequel to Kid Icarus.
Oh yeah, the one for the Game Boy.
Which I forget. Yeah, I forget what the name for that
of
one
Myths and
was.
Monsters, I want to say it was?
Maybe. I know that was the game that introduced Hades into the universe, but the main Kid Icarus Uprising itself, while it does take stuff from the Game Boy game, it mainly references the original NES one.
Although I can't exactly fault it for that because that's the one that people have actually heard of, if they have heard of the series at all. I can only imagine the people.
Yeah, like the whole thing with, spoiler alert for a quite old game now, the whole thing with the Hades plot twist, that was all from the Game Boy game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, Hades was actually in that Game Boy game, but the way they pulled it off in Kid Icarus Uprising was like, oh no, this is his first appearance. So they kind of retconned that, even though...
Yeah. And I imagine that's partly because of the fact that the people who are going for that are probably only remember the NES game. They probably have no idea they probably have no idea this Game Boy games even existed.
A lot of people who went for it to even know what the SNES game was. The whole reason that game existed was because, oh hey, Sakurai thought it was a good idea to add him in Smash.
Yeah.
Now people have a lot of interest in the character. Why don't I just make the game as well?
Yeah. Actually, part of me is just kind of thinking, I wonder when it was announced for Smash, how many people were thinking, who the heck is this Angel kid?
I thought that. First time I played Brawl, and I thought I knew all the Nintendo characters, and then out comes Piz. Like, wait a minute, who's that? Yeah, who's Cupid?
Oh.
I wonder how you felt with Snake.
I knew about him.
Yeah, I actually kind of remember when I was like in elementary school. I had to ask. I remember one of my teachers mentioning she remembered playing that game on her Nintendo. And then I asked her what WarioWare was.
Oh man.
She didn't quite know what that was, but she did remember Wario.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, so back to the topic.
So
if I would have to,
you want to call it here?
Let's let him finish what he's saying.
Let's finish up this one, right. Then we'll put the last story for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
So, as I was going on about, Banjo-Kazooie has been a franchise that has been dormant for so long, and with the recent Smash inclusion, I don't see how people are just going to let that slide at Rare or Microsoft in general. Like, something's going to happen with that.
Mm-hmm. Although, I'd also imagine that...
No matter if it's just now starting to bloom into ideas or this or that.
And I think there's also...
Something's going to happen with that.
Also, something that kind of makes me... that I'm also kind of thinking of is having to create the game and having to deal with people who are interested in this new game, but have never laid a finger on Banjo-Kazooie or Tooie. Because I assume that's what you're talking about.
And that's where I would actually go into what I would do for this next game. As the original idea for Banjo X, which later evolved into
Is that what you're calling it now?
Nuts and Bolts.
Oh.
The original idea for that was just, oh hey, why don't we make a remake of the original 2 with full updated graphics, but with a twist. We'll add some new jiggies into areas, making the maximum total per world 15. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, don't worry about it.
You don't return to a regularly scheduled nonsense.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you were saying.
So I would go with the original idea of Banjo X, where instead of just scrapping it for nuts and bolts, I would do the whole idea of like increasing the Jiggy total of each world to a specific amount while also streamlining certain mechanics that were lacking in the original, and also poking fun that this is a remake or remaster.
Okay. And also, like,
It'd be the best way to do it, not only to introduce new people to the reason why this duo has been so popular for so many years, but also to introduce new players to it as well.
Although, honestly, if I were in charge of doing something like that, I'd probably just try and make something new, a la like what the Mega Man series has done with 9, 10, and especially 11.
So, question for you, Cameron. Would you
Yep.
would you try to go kind of like a soft reboot kind of way for the new players, or would it just be like full tutorial, like act like it's like kind of like tutorial level like every other game where it's like,
like,
oh,
act
here's
like this is the
here's
first
The
game
thing
anybody's
that
ever
you-
played.
yeah.
The
That's the
thing
sort
with
of thing where I
Banjo is
say
that you could
definitely wanna make
Thomas,
skippable?
Thomas, let him go.
Sorry.
The thing with Banjo is that you could easily just find ways to implement these remakes into, or if you just want to put on one disc or cartridge or whatever, remake, you can find an easy way to implement these remakes into the story without harming the actual story themselves and actually doing new stuff with it while also keeping the originals intact. Because time travel exists in the original Banjo, and there's a lot of stuff that just... Grunty's Revenge literally has time travel.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do, and then you have the whole thing with Logbox and all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just all that stuff here and there. It's just like Banjo lore. It's not something you're supposed to take seriously, and the developers realize that. So it would be so easy to just come up with an excuse on why you're replaying these games again and why they're different, while also paying homage to what made them so great and adding to that in the process.
If the idea is to try and recreate the game, I think like I'm a bit skeptical about the idea of trying to put in little jokes of bummer at the old thing, because I feel like I'm just remembering like the Insane Trilogy and Reignited and that sort of thing, because I feel like a good portion of the audience for something like that would be people who had never played the N64 games and want to get their hands on it. And I feel like trying to say, hey, remember the N64? I feel like that would kind of alienate them a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'd suggest more like, oh, this place feels kind of familiar. Oh well, who cares? I feel like that'd be a better way to handle it.
I feel like it could go both ways, especially with how much Rare just references stuff in general.
Yeah, it's just because like the thing that I'm getting from you is that you're thinking of a game catered towards the people who are craving for more banjo. I'm more thinking for the people who have never heard of what this Banjo Kazooie thing is and are trying to get into it.
And that's where, and the games don't have much dialogue in them, so making a few nods here or there that this is indeed a remake wouldn't raise too many eyebrows, and just giving them new coats of paint, it'd be very easy to do. And like I said before, you could easily, if you did want to make this like a soft reboot yet still keep the storyline intact, find so many excuses on why you're redoing the first game and second game again.
But the thing that I was just more thinking of is that I think trying to make the excuse for that isn't really need to just go like the Insane Trilogy and say, oh hey, here are the games again.
And you certainly could.
Although, actually, that just kind of makes me think of well, the one issue that actually comes to my mind is the fact that, like, were there a good number of things in there that were based off of that had to do with the N64? Like, wasn't there a question about how many buttons were on the N64 controller? How would you handle something like that? Like, in theory, did they have, like, rhyming tutorial instructions
Yeah,
there?
there were questions in the final phase. They were removed in the Xbox
No, they
release, but
changed it
there
so
were.
that they changed the question so that it was correct for the Xbox.
Yeah,
Because the question was, is now how many buttons on an Xbox 360 controller, which was 13 instead of 10.
yeah, and then on Rare Replay they updated that again, and now they've added Xbox One X support and Xbox One S support. But yeah,
I'm just not imagining. So how do they make that
there's
rhyme
a
work?
lot of fourth wall breaking in those games.
I actually seem to remember also they had to change a bit where they had like DK featured in there once, which of course wouldn't fly on the Xbox.
You know, that's still the only reason Microsoft pitched such a good deal to Rare, is that they really wanted DK, not knowing, because it was very hard to tell at the time who really owned DK. Was it Rare or Nintendo? And if you
That
knew who
seems
published the arcade game, then yeah, but with how the Donkey
that
Kong
seems
Country
very
series was
short-sighted
turning
of
out,
Nintendo
it
to
seemed
not
like
even bother to
Rare
come up.
owned the copyright, so it was a good guess.
True, but I'm also just thinking like, uh, you do realize you probably could have just done a tad bit of research and realized, oh yeah, that was before they even signed up with Nintendo. That was literally the thing that put Nintendo on the map. They had a
Yeah,
lawsuit
but
with
a lot of
Universal
people
over
were
it.
thinking from how well the Donkey Kong series was turning out, and with Donkey Kong 64 and all, they thought Nintendo may have sold them the rights. And a deal like that wouldn't have gone too public until, like, I was I would probably say like 2006, honestly, if it actually did happen.
Anyway,
But that was the whole reason Microsoft was so interested in Rare. Activision was also interested, but no. But
this will make the
anyways,
beginning of the unseen of Activision presents a smashing blast from the past, developed by Vicarious Visions, liberally ripping off
but
Naughty Dog Studios.
anyway, so yeah, let's end this up here.
Anyway, are we ready to close off for today?
Yes, I think we are.
Alright, this has been the Cauldron. See you next time, whatever that is. Bye!